If you can't picture it, you won't live it. That's the truth most people miss. Your life will never grow beyond how you see it in your head. If your mind is filled with doubt, stress, and fear, you'll keep repeating the same days. But if you start using your imagination with purpose, everything begins to shift. And no, this isn't about wishing. This is about thinking clearly, choosing differently, and acting like the person you want to become before you actually become them. Ask yourself this: do you spend more time reacting to life or creating it in your mind first? The way you answer that question reveals everything. In this video, I'll show you how to use imagination in a way that feels real and works in daily life. Not theory, not hype, just what actually helps you grow. Watch till the end, because once you learn how to see it, you'll finally learn how to live it. Chapter 1. Break mental limits by imagining a new normal daily. You know, one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in life isn't because they're not smart enough, not talented enough, or not lucky enough. It's because they've made peace with a version of life that no longer serves them. They've accepted what they see around them as permanent. They think, this is just how it is. And so they stop reaching. They stop imagining something better. They stop seeing beyond their routine. But the truth is, your life begins to change the moment you stop accepting the old and start imagining something new. Every day you wake up with a choice. You can carry yesterday into today. You can carry the same problems, the same doubts, the same excuses, or you can pause, take a breath, and picture something different, something stronger, something healthier, something more exciting. You can imagine a new normal for yourself, a better one that doesn't match your current situation, but one that matches your potential. Most people don't do this because they've been trained by the world to shrink their vision. They've been told what's realistic, what's practical, what's possible, and after hearing it enough times, they start to believe it. They adjust their lives to fit the limits. But here's the truth. Those limits were never yours to begin with. You learned them. You picked them up from people who gave up on their own dreams. You absorbed them from a world that often prefers comfort over growth. But you don't have to stay there. You can break those mental limits, and it starts with imagination. Not tomorrow, not next week, every single day. It's easy to underestimate imagination. People think it's something for artists or children, but imagination is power. Imagination is the tool your mind uses to build your future before it shows up. It's the space where your next step is born. If you don't use it, you end up reacting to life instead of creating it. You wait for things to happen instead of making them happen, and that's a dangerous place to live. Because without imagination, all you have is your past, and your past doesn't know who you can become. So start here. Close your eyes each morning and picture a better day. Not a perfect day, a better one where you show up stronger, where you speak with more confidence, where you feel more energy, where you solve one of the problems you've been avoiding. Picture yourself walking into a room and feeling proud of who you are. Picture yourself following through on something you've been procrastinating. Picture yourself saying no to what drains you and yes to what builds you. This isn't fantasy, this is mental preparation. When you do that, something powerful happens. You begin to shape your actions to match that picture. Your brain looks for ways to make it real. You start taking different steps because you've already seen where they can lead. That's how real change begins. Not with the world changing, but with you changing how you see yourself in the world. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Most of your limits are internal. They're not out there, they're inside. What you believe about yourself, what you think you deserve, what you think you can handle. And those beliefs are shaped by what you focus on. If you keep focusing on what's broken, what's missing, what's wrong, you'll keep living a life that reflects that. But if you focus on the life you want to build, on the strength you're capable of, on the energy you want to bring, your life starts to reflect that too. But it takes practice. You won't feel it every day. Some days you'll imagine something better, and your reality will feel the same. That's okay. This is not about pretending. It's about conditioning. You're training your mind to stop accepting limits that don't belong to you. You're building a stronger mental picture so that when the day tries to pull you back, you've already seen a reason to move forward. Most people try to change their behavior without changing how they see themselves. That's like trying to plant new seeds in old soil. You can't build a new life with the same thinking that built your old one. You have to upgrade the story you tell yourself. And imagination is how you rewrite that story. Maybe you've been through some setbacks. Maybe people didn't believe in you. Maybe you made mistakes. That's real, that matters, but it's not the whole story. You're not done. You still have breath, you still have time. You still have the power to imagine something more, and that means you still have the power to change everything. But don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the world to give you permission. Give yourself permission, right now, right here. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need to know the full path. You just need to stop saying this is enough when deep down you know it's not. You just need to stop telling yourself that dreaming is risky and start realizing that not dreaming is even riskier. Start small if you need to. Imagine one area of your life that could improve. Not all of it, just one. Your health, your energy, your focus, your relationships, your income. Pick one. And then ask yourself, what would that area look like if it was better? Not perfect, just better. What would you be doing differently? How would you feel? What would you be proud of? Once you answer that, write it down. Speak it out loud. Remind yourself daily. Put it on a wall. Put it in your pocket. Put it in your schedule. Make it real. Keep it in front of you until it starts to feel familiar. Because here's the truth. Your current life feels real because it's familiar. But the more you imagine something better, the more familiar that becomes too. And once something becomes familiar, your brain stops resisting it. It starts accepting it. And when your brain accepts something, it works to make it happen. So no matter where you're starting from, this is the path. Break your limits by imagining a better version of your life every single day. Don't wait for change. Picture it, feel it, walk in it mentally. And then begin building it physically. That's how new habits are born. That's how confidence is built. That's how goals become action. And that's how a new life starts. Not all at once, but one day. One choice. One clear vision at a time. Remember, nothing around you has to change first. You don't have to wait for the right time, the right person, or the right opportunity. You can begin by changing what you allow in your mind. And if you change what's in your mind, you change how you show up. And when you change how you show up, you change what becomes possible. So today and every day forward, don't just imagine once. Imagine daily. Imagine deeply. Imagine fully. And then act like it's already yours. Because that's when real growth starts. And that's when the old limits stop having power over you. Your new life is not waiting somewhere out there. It's waiting in your mind. See it first. And then bring it to life. Chapter 2. Use imagination when motivation feels completely gone. There will be days when you won't feel like doing anything. Days when your energy is low, your thoughts are scattered and your heart just isn't in it. You'll wake up, look at your responsibilities and feel that heavy silence inside, the kind that makes you want to go back to bed or avoid the world. That's not weakness. That's part of being human. No one is motivated every day. Not me, not you, not anyone. But what separates the people who keep going from the ones who stop is what they reach for when motivation disappears. When your motivation is gone, you don't need more pressure. You don't need someone yelling in your ear or guilt pushing on your chest. What you need is something deeper, something personal, something real. That's where imagination becomes your rescue tool. When your energy is low and your willpower feels empty, you've got to close your eyes and picture the version of you that still wants this. The part of you that remembers why you started in the first place. The part of you that still believes something better is possible, even when you're tired. Imagination is not about pretending. It's not about running away from the struggle. It's about reaching into your mind and giving yourself something to hold on to when everything around you feels stuck. You may not feel inspired today, but you can still imagine who you want to become. That imagined vision can pull you forward when nothing else will. Think about it. When motivation leaves, the mind starts to wander. It begins to replay problems. It brings up fear, doubt, and past failures. And the more you sit in that, the heavier you feel. But what if you paused and directed your thoughts instead of letting them drift? What if you used those quiet moments to picture the life you said you wanted when you were clear, when you were hopeful, when you had energy? That's not false hope, that's fuel. Sometimes the only way to move forward is to mentally step outside of your current mood. You might not be able to control how you feel, but you can choose where your mind goes. You can close your eyes, take a breath, and picture yourself already on the other side of what you're going through. Imagine finishing that task you've been avoiding. Imagine hearing the words, "You did it." Imagine walking out of the gym, sweaty and proud. Imagine sending that email, making that call, showing up when you said you would. Those small mental pictures create a ripple inside you. Even if it's small, that shift matters. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. You don't need the whole room to be bright. You just need to see where to take the next step. Motivation may come and go, but imagination is always available. You don't need a good mood to use it. You just need to care enough to pause and picture something better. The truth is, most people quit not because things are hard, but because they forget why they started. Imagination helps you remember. It's easy to feel stuck when you keep staring at your current reality. The bills, the deadline, the disappointments. But none of that has the power to stop you unless you give it all your attention. If you keep feeding the struggle with your thoughts, it grows. But if you interrupt it with imagination, if you give your mind something better to look at, you start to break the pattern. Try this. When you feel off, when you feel down, when you feel like doing nothing, don't fight the feeling. Don't beat yourself up. Just sit down for a minute. Close your eyes. Picture one moment where you did something you were proud of. It could be big or small. Remember how that felt. Hold that feeling for just a few seconds. Then picture the next version of that. What would be your next proud moment? What would you need to do to feel that again? That's how you create internal motion. It doesn't start with doing. It starts with seeing. You imagine something clear enough that your body starts preparing to act. And you won't always feel ready, but you will feel pulled, and that pull is enough to stand up and do one thing. And that's the point. When you don't have the fire inside, don't try to force it. Focus on the spark. Use imagination to reconnect with your personal vision, your reason, your why. That's the thing that can't be handed to you. That's the thing that keeps you moving when the noise dies down and no one's watching. You won't always have momentum. You won't always feel focused. But if you're willing to imagine what life could be, even in your lowest moment, you're still in control. Because imagination brings back perspective. It reminds you that this hard moment is not forever. It reminds you that your identity is not based on how you feel in a single day. It reminds you that you still have a future, and you still have a say in how it looks. You've got to develop the habit of using imagination like a tool. Not once a month, not just when things are going well, but especially when they're not. When the days are long, when your mind is foggy, when your heart feels flat, that's when you need it most. That's when you open the file in your brain and pull up your vision again. And if you don't have that vision yet, start simple. Don't worry about having it all figured out. Just ask yourself, what would a better day look like tomorrow? What kind of person do I want to be in a week? How do I want to show up when life gets heavy? What would make me feel more alive? You don't need a 5-year plan. You just need one mental picture that makes you want to stand up and take one small action. That's where change lives, in those tiny, invisible shifts, in those quiet moments where you could quit, but you don't. And I want to say something to you directly. Just because you don't feel like it right now, doesn't mean you've failed. Just because today feels slow, doesn't mean you've lost your spark. It just means you're human. And being human means you have the gift of imagination. Use it. Let it pull you back up. Let it remind you of what you care about. Let it create just enough motion to get you started. There's something about imagining success, even in the middle of struggle, that rewires your attitude. You start walking a little different, talking a little different. Even if the situation hasn't changed yet, you have. And that shift is powerful, because when your inner state improves, your outer effort follows. Don't wait for motivation to come and save you. It's not reliable. It comes and goes like the weather, but imagination, that's something you can reach for anytime. It costs nothing. It requires no perfect setting. You can use it lying in bed, walking outside, or sitting in a quiet room. It's your mental fuel station, and the more you use it, the better you get at turning thought into action. So the next time you feel stuck, don't chase a feeling, chase a vision. Don't try to force the mood. Picture the mood. Use your mind to show you what matters again. And then, even if it's small, do something that moves you closer to that picture. This is how you rebuild your drive when it disappears, not by waiting, not by complaining, but by imagining a better direction and choosing to follow it, one step at a time. That's how people grow. Not because you always felt ready, but because you refused to let your lowest moments decide your future. Imagination is everything, especially when motivation is gone. It keeps your goals alive, it keeps your spirit sharp, it gives you reasons when your emotions go quiet. And if you keep using it, you'll find something deeper than motivation. You'll find discipline, you'll find clarity, and eventually, you'll find yourself doing the things you once thought you needed motivation for. That's real strength. That's real power. And it's already inside you. All you have to do is see it before you feel it. Imagine it before you live it. Then act like it's already on the way.
Chapter 3. Picture results so clearly they feel already real. The strongest changes in your life don't begin when the results show up. They begin when you start seeing them clearly in your mind. Before the transformation happens on the outside, it takes shape inside. It starts with an image, a thought, a feeling you choose to create, even when your current situation doesn't match it yet. That's how people move from where they are to where they want to be. Not by chance, but by clarity, by developing the mental habit of seeing their goals so vividly that it feels like they're already living in them. If you want to do something meaningful, you can't afford to keep guessing or hoping without direction. You've got to know where you're going. You've got to be able to close your eyes and see the details, not just the idea, but the results. Not just a dream, but the outcome. You need to see what your success looks like, sounds like, and feels like. That level of clarity changes how you show up in the world. It changes how you make decisions, how you spend your time, and how you talk to yourself when it gets difficult. When people fail to reach their goals, it's not always because they didn't try hard enough. Often, it's because they never really saw what they were working for. Their vision was too vague. They didn't lock onto something real in their mind. And when the vision is unclear, the effort becomes scattered. But when the result is pictured clearly and strongly, it becomes easier to push forward, even on hard days, because it doesn't feel like something far away. It feels close. It feels possible. It feels familiar. That's what imagination can do for you. It takes something that doesn't exist yet and makes it feel like it does, and the mind responds to that. The brain doesn't fully separate what's vividly imagined from what's actually happening. So when you rehearse success in your mind with full focus, you create mental proof that helps you believe it's within reach. And once belief starts building, action follows. Imagine standing at the finish line of your goal. What do you see? What do you feel? What does it sound like? You have to go there in your mind before you ever step into it in real life. That's how you train yourself to move with confidence, not because you've done it already, but because you've rehearsed it enough in your head that it feels real. Start by choosing one result that really matters to you. It could be anything: a personal breakthrough, a new career level, better health, more discipline. Then sit quietly and picture it. Picture the exact outcome you want. What are you doing? How do you look? How are you carrying yourself? Who's around you? What do they say? Don't rush through it. Take time with the details. Build a complete mental snapshot. This isn't daydreaming. This is preparation. Mental conditioning. You're planting a direction into your subconscious, so your actions start following that path, even when your energy is low or distractions show up. Every time you go back to that picture, you strengthen the connection between your future and your present. You start making choices that fit the image, instead of reacting to whatever feels easy in the moment. People talk a lot about hard work. And yes, hard work matters, but if you don't know exactly what you're working toward, your energy will be wasted. You'll try things, jump between ideas, and lose steam quickly. But when you picture the result so clearly that you can feel it, you start working smarter. You start building habits that match the life you see in your mind. You don't need as much external motivation because you've got internal vision. Think about a time in your life when you were deeply focused on something. Maybe you were preparing for an important event, or saving up for something special, or learning a new skill. What kept you going? It wasn't just the process, it was the picture in your mind of what it would mean to finish. That image pulled you through the uncomfortable part. It reminded you of the reason. That same principle applies to everything. Whether you're chasing a new goal or trying to level up in life, you need that mental image to keep you grounded. Sometimes we lose focus, not because we don't care, but because we stop seeing the outcome. We let distractions, stress, or doubt fog the vision. So your job is to keep the picture alive. Revisit it every day. Look at it when you wake up. Look at it before you go to sleep. Let it become part of how you think. That repetition trains your brain to expect it, and when you expect something strongly enough, you behave differently. You prepare for it. You move toward it. This habit also builds emotional strength. When life gets hard, when you feel overwhelmed, that mental picture gives you something to hold on to. It reminds you that the current struggle is not the end. It's just a step on the path. And if you can see the end clearly, you're more likely to keep walking through the middle. It's also important to build emotional connection to your vision. Don't just think about what you want. Think about why it matters. Why does this result excite you? What will it mean for your life, for your confidence, for the people around you? Connect to that. Feel it. The more emotionally connected you are to the picture, the more driven you'll be to move toward. You have to stop treating your goals like vague ideas. You've got to start treating them like a life you've already claimed in your mind. Think about it like this. If you were already living the life you want, what would you be doing today? How would you act? How would you speak? What would you focus on? Start behaving that way now, not someday, now. Because that's what bridges the gap between the vision and the reality. This kind of thinking doesn't just build confidence, it builds control. Instead of waiting to feel successful, you start generating the mindset of success. Instead of hoping things change, you start shifting how you show up daily. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not just because you work hard, but because you work from a place of inner clarity. And that's something most people never develop. They go through life reacting to circumstances, drifting from one thing to the next, always waiting for something to happen. But the people who rise, the people who transform, they're the ones who take ownership of their thinking. They don't just dream, they visualize, they build a picture strong enough to stay focused, even when things feel messy or uncertain. You can be that person. You can start now. It's not about having all the answers, it's about choosing one clear picture and feeding it every day. Talking to yourself like it's possible, acting like you've already stepped into part of it, protecting that vision from negativity, from doubt, from the outside noise. You are allowed to expect more from life. You are allowed to build a future that looks nothing like your past. But you have to see it first. You have to be able to close your eyes and say, this is what I'm working for. This is where I'm headed. This is who I'm becoming. When you get to that level of clarity, things change. You start to attract opportunities, relationships, and momentum that match your vision. You stop chasing everything, and you start becoming someone who lives with purpose. So if you feel unclear right now, don't panic. Start with 10 quiet minutes. Picture one result that lights a fire in you. Picture it deeply. Add feeling to it. Add sound. Add movement. Make it real in your mind. And then make your next action match that image. That's how you take control of your direction. Not by waiting for things to fall into place, but by picturing the result so clearly that you feel like you've already tasted it, and then letting that feeling guide your daily choices. This is how real change begins, not with a miracle, but with a strong vision that becomes impossible to ignore. Hold that vision, and then build your life around it. That's the work, and it's worth it.
Chapter 4. Turn quiet moments into powerful mental rehearsal time. Most people waste their quiet moments without realizing their value. They scroll, overthink, replay the same worries, or fill the silence with distractions. But those quiet pockets of time when no one's calling, nothing is demanding your attention, and the noise around you is low, are some of the most powerful opportunities you'll ever have to shape your life. That's when your mind is open. That's when your thoughts slow down just enough for you to take control. That's the time to mentally rehearse who you want to be and how you want to live. Quiet is not empty, it's full of choice, it's full of potential, but only if you decide to use it. You can use it to drift aimlessly through your thoughts, or you can use it to direct those thoughts toward a better future. The difference is intention. You don't need hours, you don't need special conditions. All you need is a few moments where you pause, shut out the outside world, and train your mind to see what's possible. Mental rehearsal is simple. It's not about making things up, it's about building a clear mental image of something important to you.
It could be how you want to act during a tough conversation, how you want to perform during a challenge, how you want to show up in your daily routine, or how you want to carry yourself in your personal growth. You sit still, breathe, and picture the moment from beginning to end, how it unfolds, what you do, how you feel doing it, and how you respond to the pressure. You're not imagining random things, you're rehearsing a future that matters to you. Athletes do it before big games. Public speakers do it before going on stage. High performers in every field practice mentally before they show up physically. But this isn't just for them. This is for anyone who wants to take their life seriously. Because your mind doesn't need to see something happen in real life before it starts preparing for it. It just needs to believe it's already experienced it. And mental rehearsal gives you that experience. The more often you rehearse, the more familiar success becomes. And when something feels familiar, it no longer feels intimidating. You build confidence not by chance, but by repetition, not by waiting, but by visualizing. If you keep imagining yourself making better decisions, responding with strength, following through on your goals, eventually your brain begins to normalize that behavior. It stops resisting it. And once the resistance is low, action becomes easier. Quiet time becomes a training ground. You're not just relaxing, you're preparing. You're programming your mind to expect more from yourself. And you don't need perfect focus to start. You don't need to do it right. You just need to do it often. Set aside a few minutes where nothing else matters. Turn off the noise, sit with your thoughts, and pick a moment in your life where you want to do better. Replay it in your mind, but this time do it right. This time respond the way you wish you had. See yourself staying calm, staying sharp, staying strong. Feel the strength, feel the calm, feel the clarity. The more real you make it, the more your body responds to it. This kind of mental practice is not complicated, but most people skip it because it feels too simple. They want complex plans and huge bursts of motivation. But change starts in small places. It starts when you take charge of your mental environment, when you stop letting your mind wander into fear and start guiding it into power. Think about this. How often do you mentally rehearse failure without meaning to? How often do you picture things going wrong? How often do you assume the worst before anything even happens? That's mental rehearsal too, just in the wrong direction. Every time you do it, you're reinforcing fear, doubt, and hesitation. So what if you flipped it? What if you used the same mental energy to build belief instead of break it? You don't have to control everything in your life, but you can control what you focus on when the world quiets down. And that control changes everything, because once you become the kind of person who trains their mind in silence, you start to lead your life instead of follow it. You stop being reactive and start being prepared. You walk into situations with more peace, more focus, and more strength, not because life got easier, but because you did the work when no one was watching. The beauty of this practice is that you can do it anywhere, sitting in your car, standing in line, lying in bed before you sleep. Instead of wasting those minutes on autopilot, you use them to move forward. You use them to rehearse the kind of thoughts and actions that make your life better. And it's not about perfection. It's about building the habit of mental leadership. Every time you rehearse a moment with purpose, you are shaping your future behavior. You're making sure that when the moment actually arrives, it doesn't surprise you, it strengthens you. You'll still face doubt. You'll still feel resistance. That's normal. But the more you rehearse, the more those emotions lose their grip. You'll be able to step into your day with more control. You'll feel grounded instead of overwhelmed. You'll respond to challenges with clarity instead of confusion, because you've already lived those moments in your mind. And that mental rehearsal becomes your advantage. People spend hours preparing the outside of their lives, their clothes, their schedule, their work. But how much time do they spend preparing their mind? How often do they pause and train their thinking? That's where the real growth is. That's where the real transformation begins. When you use the quiet moments not to escape, but to strengthen, not to avoid, but to focus. That's when life starts shifting. There's something powerful about a person who doesn't waste their quiet. They don't just sit in it, they rise in it. They use that time to focus their thoughts, build their vision, and rehearse the life they're working for. They know that even a few minutes of mental clarity can change the direction of their entire day. And over time, those days turn into a life that looks completely different. Don't underestimate what you can build with this. Don't wait for the world to give you space. Create it. Even if it's 5 minutes in the morning, even if it's right before bed, protect that space. Use it to check in with yourself. Use it to picture what matters. Use it to prepare for how you want to respond to the challenges you know are coming. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You'll catch yourself rehearsing success before important moments. You'll start preparing mentally for how you want to speak, how you want to lead, how you want to show up, and you won't need to force confidence. It'll already be built inside you from the time you've spent training your mind. Mental rehearsal is not a trick. It's not about pretending. It's about building something real on the inside first. It's about practicing your future before it shows up. It's about teaching your brain what matters most, and then making it stronger every time you focus on it. Quiet moments give you that power, but only if you choose to use them. So don't rush through the silence. Don't fill it with noise. Step into it with purpose. Picture the results that matter. Rehearse the choices you want to make. Walk through the conversations you want to lead. Practice the version of you that speaks with strength, moves with purpose, and acts with integrity. That version of you isn't far away. It's not a fantasy. It's already inside you, waiting to be shaped. And the shaping happens when you decide that quiet isn't empty. It's useful. It's powerful. It's a tool. And every time you use it well, you step closer to the life you know you're capable of living.
Chapter 5. Stop replaying past mistakes and build fresh visions. There comes a point in life when you have to stop carrying the weight of everything you did wrong. You have to stop waking up every day with the same replay in your head, the same loop of regrets, missed chances, bad decisions, and moments you wish you could go back and fix. That kind of thinking keeps people stuck. It traps them in the past. And no matter how much they want to move forward, they can't because they're still living through what's already done. But here's the truth. There's no growth in reliving yesterday. You've got to look ahead. You've got to decide that your mind is no longer a storage unit for your old mistakes. It's a space to create new vision. The past only has power when you feed it. It only slows you down when you give it your attention. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you failed. Yes, you've said things and done things you wish you hadn't. That's real. That's part of being human. But it's not who you are now, unless you keep bringing it into today. The moment you keep reminding yourself of the worst version of you, you make it harder to become the better version that's waiting to be built. And that's not fair to your future. You've got to reach a point where you say, I've learned what I needed to learn. I've paid the price. Now it's time to build something new. You don't build anything strong by staring at broken pieces forever. You build by starting fresh. That doesn't mean you forget. It means you stop replaying. You stop giving old chapters the power to write the next one. When you keep replaying your mistakes, your mind stays in survival mode. It keeps trying to figure out what went wrong, how you could have avoided it, and what it means about you. But that mindset blocks creativity. It blocks growth. It keeps you from imagining something better. And without a fresh vision, there's no fuel for change. You're not meant to sit in regret. You're meant to stand up and redirect, to take the lessons, not the shame, and use them to build a new picture in your mind. A clear future cannot grow in a mind filled with old pain. If every time you try to dream,
Your past interrupts with remember when you failed. You'll stay hesitant. You'll question your ability to try again. That's why it's so important to replace the old story with a new one. Start by asking yourself what you want next. Not what you regret. What you want. What matters now. What would feel good to create. What would make you proud today. Not 10 years ago. You need a vision that makes you excited again. One that's rooted in who you are now, not who you used to be. And to create that, you have to be honest. You have to say, yes, I've messed up, but I'm still here. I still have time. I still have energy. I still care. That honesty is powerful. That's where rebuilding begins. Not from perfection, but from truth. You don't need permission to start fresh. You don't need someone else to forgive you first. You don't need every detail figured out. You just need to stop repeating what hurt you. Stop giving your attention to the parts of your life that are already over. That chapter is written. What you do next is what matters now. Start imagining a life that reflects your growth. Picture yourself with new habits, with new strength, with new energy. Picture yourself responding with wisdom instead of guilt. Picture yourself making decisions from hope instead of fear. This isn't fake. It's direction. It's what helps your brain see that more is still possible. Because if you only focus on what went wrong, you'll keep attracting situations that match your low self-view. The people who move forward in life aren't the ones with perfect pasts. They're the ones who make peace with where they've been so they can focus on where they're going. They don't ignore their history, but they don't stay in it either. They learn, they forgive, and then they imagine something better. You don't rise by accident. You rise when you commit to seeing something different. If you don't see it in your mind, you won't act like it's real. You'll talk yourself out of every good opportunity. You'll let doubt make decisions for you. You'll lower your standards because you think you're not worthy of better. But all of that changes when you stop replaying the past and start rehearsing a better future. You have to build a new internal picture. One that reflects the person you're becoming. One that doesn't apologize for growing. One that isn't afraid to take up space and move forward without guilt. Close your eyes and think about what that looks like. What does your environment feel like? How do you walk into a room? How do you speak to yourself in the mirror? This isn't about pretending. It's about practicing. Practice believing in yourself again. Practice choosing self-respect over self-blame. The past cannot be changed. That's reality. But your focus can. Your direction can. Your inner voice can. And that's where freedom lives. In the power to shift your attention away from regret and toward renewal. You've got to build a daily habit of future thinking. Every morning is a reset. Every quiet moment is a chance to recenter your mind on what matters now. When your thoughts start drifting to what went wrong, pause, take a breath, and say, that was then, this is now. Then go right back to imagining what's next. The life you want. The way you want to feel. The version of you that you'd be proud to meet. Nobody gets through life without scars. But scars are not signs of weakness. They are reminders that you've made it through. And if you've made it through, then you're not done yet. Your future is still open. It's still waiting for you to design it. But you can't build forward while facing backward. You've got to look in the direction you want to grow. This kind of shift doesn't happen in a day. It's a process. You might still hear old voices in your head. You might still feel pulled into your past story sometimes. That's okay. The goal is not to erase the past. The goal is to stop giving it the front seat. You can acknowledge it without letting it lead. You can learn from it without letting it define you. So choose to give more attention to the vision than the memory. Choose to talk more about what you're creating than what you lost. Choose to act based on your potential, not your history. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. Every day you choose vision over replay. You're healing, you're rising, you're becoming someone new. What happens next depends on what you focus on now. So trade the replays for rehearsals, trade the regret for responsibility, and trade the old story for a new script that reflects who you truly want to be. Your mind is powerful. It listens to what you feed it. Feed it vision, feed it hope, feed it direction, and watch your life begin to shift one focused thought at a time.
Chapter 6. Imagine better reactions before life throws you problems. Most people wait until something goes wrong before they think about how they want to respond. They move through their day on autopilot, hoping everything goes smoothly, and when life throws a problem their way, they're caught off guard. They get frustrated, overwhelmed, or emotional, not because they're weak, but because they didn't prepare mentally. But you don't have to live like that. You can train your mind to stay calm, clear, and controlled, no matter what shows up. You do that by imagining better reactions before life puts you to the test. Every day, life gives you moments that challenge your patience, your focus, your energy, and your attitude. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A coworker speaks to you with disrespect. A plan falls apart. A delay pushes your schedule. These are small moments, but they shape your day. And if you react the same way every time, snapping, complaining, getting discouraged, you create a pattern. That pattern becomes your default. But here's the truth, you don't have to keep reacting the same way. You can decide ahead of time who you want to be when pressure shows up. Imagine this, you wake up and before the world gets noisy, you take a few minutes and walk through your day in your mind. You picture things going right, but you also imagine the moments that might test you. You think about what could go wrong, not in a fearful way, but in a prepared way, and then you picture your reaction. You see yourself staying calm, speaking with clarity, moving with control. You rehearse it like it already happened. You feel the strength of that moment. You feel the power of responding the way you want to, not the way you used to. That mental practice rewires your brain. It builds new paths that your mind follows when the real situation comes. Instead of reacting from habit, you respond from intention. Instead of losing control, you take control. Not because the problem disappeared, but because you trained for it. You didn't wait for the challenge to decide how you would act. You decided in advance. This kind of thinking builds mental discipline. And discipline gives you freedom. When you know how you'll respond, you feel stronger. You don't fear every problem. You don't avoid pressure. You don't panic when things go off track. You breathe. You remember what you imagine, and you act with purpose. Problems are a part of life. No matter how much you grow, how successful you become, or how focused you stay, life will still bring challenges. But the difference between staying stuck and moving forward is how you meet those challenges. If you've rehearsed a better response, you're already ahead. Because in that moment, your mind doesn't need to scramble. It already knows what to do. Let's say you're working on patience. You know you get frustrated easily. So every morning you picture situations that used to trigger you. Maybe it's a conversation with someone difficult. Maybe it's a delay or a last-minute change. You see it happen in your mind, and then you walk through your response. You stay calm. You speak slowly. You keep your posture open. You respond with strength. You don't just think it, you feel it. You create the scene in your head so clearly that your brain starts to accept it as familiar. Then later that day, when the moment actually comes, you've already practiced. You don't need to force yourself to be calm. You've trained for it. You don't need to fight your reaction. You've replaced it. That's not magic. That's preparation. And the more often you do it, the more natural it becomes. You can use this same method in any area of your life. If you're trying to build better focus, imagine yourself ignoring distractions before they show up.
If you want to speak with more confidence, rehearse your tone and your words before the meeting. If you're trying to build discipline, walk through the moment where you're tempted to quit and then rehearse yourself staying committed. The mind is your training ground. Use it. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't take long. You don't need hours. You need a few focused minutes each day. You need space to imagine. Not just what you want, but how you want to handle the unexpected, and that practice adds up. It stacks. Every day you rehearse, you're building emotional muscle. You're building mental strength, and that strength shows up when life gets tough. When you live like this, you stop reacting emotionally to every small inconvenience. You stop getting thrown off course by temporary problems. You start trusting yourself. You start walking into your day with quiet confidence, and people will notice it. They'll see it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you handle pressure, because you're no longer reacting, you're leading. You're leading your own life. You're not giving power to random events. You're not handing over your peace to every obstacle. You're staying grounded, because you've already lived the moment in your mind. You've already made the decision. You've already seen yourself succeed. Most people think that growth only happens when you're in the moment, but true growth happens before the moment. It happens when you take the time to picture the kind of person you want to be, and you commit to showing up like that. It's a mental choice, followed by real action, and every time you act in line with what you rehearsed, you become stronger. You reinforce the path. You build the habit. You grow. It takes awareness. You have to know what your weak spots are. You have to admit where you usually fall off, not to shame yourself, but to prepare yourself. If you know you shut down during conflict, rehearse staying open. If you know you speak too quickly when stressed, rehearse slowing down. If you know you get discouraged easily, rehearse pushing through with focus. These are not small shifts. These are game-changing habits, and they all start in the mind. You can't avoid every problem, but you can take away its power to control you. You can meet it with preparation. You can meet it with mental rehearsal. And when you do, you stop living in reaction. You start living with direction. So take time each day to imagine not just the life you want, but the reactions you want to have when life challenges you. Picture the strongest version of you, steady, calm, disciplined, and focused. Picture yourself choosing peace over panic, clarity over confusion, strength over weakness. Walk through those moments again and again. Let your brain feel them. Let your body believe them. Let your choices reflect them. This is how you move from chaos to control, not by avoiding problems, but by preparing your response ahead of time. And the more prepared you are, the more confident you'll be. Confidence isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you build through practice, through daily mental rehearsal, through focused thought. You don't need to fear what's coming next when you've already rehearsed how you'll respond. You don't need to get caught off guard when you've already seen yourself stay grounded. That's the kind of preparation that changes lives. That's the kind of habit that builds resilience. And that's the kind of mindset that sets you apart from everyone waiting for life to get easier. Life isn't about avoiding storms. It's about training your mind to walk through them with purpose. You do that by using your imagination, not just for dreams, but for discipline, not just for what you want to have, but for how you want to act. That's where your power is. That's where your next level begins, and you're ready for it. All you have to do is decide to prepare before the pressure comes, and when it does, you'll already know who you are. Chapter 7. Use mental pictures to make daily choices easier. Most people wake up and start making decisions without thinking deeply about where those decisions are leading. They choose what to eat, how to spend time, how to respond to people, and how to use their energy. And often, those choices are based on habit or emotion, not direction. But if you want to build a meaningful life, you can't afford to live like that. You need something stronger guiding you. That's where mental pictures come in. When you create a clear image in your mind of the person you want to be and the life you want to live, it becomes easier to make the right choice in the moment. Not because life got simpler, but because your direction became clear. Your mind needs clarity. If it doesn't know where you're going, it defaults to comfort. It goes back to what's easy or familiar. That's why people repeat the same patterns. They haven't built a strong enough image of what they actually want. But when you take the time to create that picture, when you see yourself living a more focused, more intentional life, you start making choices that match that image. You don't have to overthink every little step. You just ask one question: does this choice match the picture I'm building? This approach gives you power in the moment. Instead of battling willpower or guessing your way through the day, you simply compare what's in front of you to the image you've created in your mind. You don't eat something just because it's convenient. You think, does this fit the way I want to feel? You don't waste time on distractions. You ask, does this support the life I'm working toward? That one shift saves energy, reduces confusion, and helps you stay consistent without burning out. Think about someone who's building physical health. If they have a strong image of themselves feeling energized, moving freely, standing tall with confidence, they make better food choices. They choose to move their body. Not because they're forcing themselves, but because they've seen the result. The image is strong, and it pulls them forward. That's what mental pictures do. They pull you toward who you want to be, without having to fight for every decision. You can apply this in every part of your life: your work, your relationships, your habits, your money, your self-respect. If you picture yourself being disciplined, kind, reliable, confident, you begin to move in that direction naturally. The picture keeps your mind focused, and when your mind is focused, your choices stop feeling like battles. They become steps. One choice leads to another, and momentum builds. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. There will always be moments where the easy choice tempts you, but if you have a strong enough vision, it becomes harder to walk away from it. You'll feel the gap between what you want and what you're doing, and that awareness is a gift. It helps you pause. It helps you think. It gives you time to course correct before the day slips away. Mental pictures give you something solid to compare your actions to. Without them, it's easy to drift. One missed workout becomes a week off. One careless day becomes a month of low effort. But with the image in place, you have something to return to. Something to anchor you. Even when you mess up, the vision remains. It doesn't shame you. It reminds you, and that reminder brings you back. Start simple. You don't need a perfect plan. Just pick one part of your life where you want to improve. Then take a few quiet minutes to build the picture. See yourself living differently. See yourself making stronger choices. Feel what it's like to be that version of you. The more detailed you make it, the more powerful it becomes. Don't just imagine the outcome, picture the actions. Picture yourself saying no to what drains you. Picture yourself walking with purpose. Picture yourself focused and steady when the day gets hard. These images are not wishes, they are tools. Your brain responds to pictures faster than logic. It doesn't always listen to what you say, but it listens to what you see. That's why mental rehearsal works. That's why vision boards work. That's why storytelling works, because we live through images. So if you want to change your behavior, you don't just need better rules. You need better pictures. This is especially helpful when emotions run high. When you're tired, angry, or discouraged, logic often fades. But if you've rehearsed a clear picture of who you want to be, you'll have something steady to lean on. You'll remember how you want to show up. You'll remember the direction you're heading, and that memory gives you strength. It gives you the edge you need to make the better decision when it matters most. Think about it. How many poor choices are made because people didn't stop to think ahead? They didn't pause to ask what this moment means for the bigger picture. But when you live with vision, that pause becomes automatic. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware. And awareness grows when your mind is trained to think about the future, not just the moment. You can even use mental pictures to correct bad habits. Take a habit that's been holding you back. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's being reactive. Maybe it's negative self-talk. Now create a new image. Picture yourself catching the habit before it starts. Picture yourself doing the opposite, taking action, staying calm, speaking kindly to yourself. The more you build this image, the more likely you are to act differently the next time the habit shows up. You're not waiting to feel motivated. You're leading yourself with vision. And this doesn't need to be some big dramatic process. It's a few focused minutes, a quiet space, a clear mind. You can do it first thing in the morning or right before bed. You can do it during a walk or while sitting alone. All that matters is that you do it consistently. The more often you practice, the stronger the mental picture becomes. And with time, those pictures start shaping your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to change, and you start seeing yourself as someone who lives with purpose. This practice also helps when you're surrounded by distractions. The world is full of noise, messages telling you to act fast, move without thinking, give in to comfort. But if your mind is already full of clear pictures, you don't get pulled as easily. You stay centered. You remember your path. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to stay true to the image you've built. That's real growth. Not chasing every idea, but building one strong direction and following it. Not reacting to every problem, but choosing responses that match your vision. Not hoping for better habits, but training your mind to see them and live them. It starts with imagination. It starts with pictures. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed by choices, scattered by distractions, or uncertain about what to do next, step back, close your eyes, and build the picture. Who do you want to be at the end of the day? What would make you proud when the sun sets? What decisions would move you forward, even just a little? Then take those answers and use them to guide you, not just once, every day. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. And when your mind is full of images that reflect who you truly want to be, consistency becomes easier. You'll feel more in control. You'll make quicker decisions. You'll say no to the wrong things faster and say yes to the right things with more confidence. Your life is built on small choices. Every day is a series of decisions, and those decisions get easier when they're connected to something real, a picture, a purpose, a direction. So build that image, keep it clear, return to it often, and let it lead the way. That's how small choices become powerful change. That's how daily decisions stop feeling like pressure and start feeling like purpose. That's how you move from reacting to creating one mental picture at a time.
Chapter 8. See the life you want before you earn it. Everything in your life starts with how you see it in your mind. Before any progress, before any breakthrough, before any success, it begins as a picture you hold on the inside. And if you don't see the life you want clearly, it becomes very hard to work toward it with discipline and consistency. People often wait to believe in something until they've already achieved it. They wait to act like it's possible until they have physical proof. But real change doesn't work that way. You don't wait to see it happen. You see it first in your mind. Then you begin the work of earning it. That mental image, that vision, that picture of your future self, that's the starting point for everything. If you're serious about building a better life, you can't afford to leave your vision up to chance. You can't just hope something good will happen. You need to take full ownership of how you think. Not once a month, every day. When you wake up in the morning, before you reach for your phone or dive into your routine, take a minute to connect with the picture of the life you want. Not the life you're stuck in. Not the life people expect you to live. The life you truly want. The one that excites you. The one that reflects your values, your strength, your growth. You need to see that life before it exists, and you need to see it often. The mind works through patterns.
It responds to repetition. If you constantly think about your problems, your fears, your failures, your mind starts building your future based on your past. But if you discipline yourself to create a strong picture of what your best life looks like, your mind starts shifting, your beliefs start catching up, your actions begin aligning. Because what you see, you begin to move toward. And don't confuse this with fantasy or empty wishing. This is not about daydreaming. This is about mental alignment. When you can see your desired life clearly, it becomes easier to say no to the things that pull you off track. It becomes easier to stay focused when things get hard. You stop making random decisions. You stop chasing comfort. You start acting like the person who already lives the life you want. This means you don't just imagine the reward, you also imagine the responsibility. What kind of discipline would it take to maintain the life you're after? What kind of mindset would you need to protect your peace, lead your day, and manage your energy? These are questions you start answering through visualization, and once you answer them, your behavior begins to shift. You start carrying yourself differently. You speak with more clarity. You use your time with more care. You treat your work with more purpose, not because someone told you to, but because you've seen where you're headed, and you've decided it's worth showing up for. When you picture the life you want, it doesn't always look like what you've seen in the world. It may not match the lives around you. That's why it's important to be honest with yourself. You're not here to copy someone else's journey. You're here to design your own. So be specific. What do you want your mornings to look like? How do you want to feel about your health, your relationships, your growth, your finances, your impact? See it. Picture it with detail. The sights, the sounds, the feeling of peace and control, the kind of people you want in your space, the way you want to speak to yourself when no one's listening. Build that image so well in your mind that you begin to recognize when something in your day doesn't belong there. That's how awareness grows. That's how standards rise. You'll know your vision is strong when it starts helping you make decisions. When you're unsure what to do, you compare the option with the image. Does this support the life I'm building? Does this move me closer or further? That one question makes the process easier. It removes confusion. You stop reacting to life, and you begin to lead it. This process also builds emotional strength, because when setbacks happen, and they will, you'll still have a mental picture that reminds you of where you're going. Without that, it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to think the pain means you should give up. But when your vision is clear, you know better. You know that this hard moment is not the end. It's just a step, and steps don't break you when you know where they're leading. One of the most powerful things you can do is practice living with the feeling of success before it physically arrives. That means waking up and carrying yourself like someone who has already earned peace, focus, and growth, not in an arrogant way, but in a committed way. You respect your path. You walk with self-awareness. You treat your time like it matters, because it does, and that mindset slowly becomes who you are. Sometimes the people around you won't understand what you're doing. That's okay. Your vision is personal. You're not living for their approval. You're living from your clarity. You're working from the image you've built, and that image is stronger than their opinions. So protect it. Don't let negative voices water it down. Don't let temporary feelings pull you away from it. Stay loyal to the life you want, even when it feels far away, because every time you return to it, you reconnect with your reason. You don't need to have everything figured out today, but you do need to see where you're headed. Without that, even your best efforts will lose direction. The most dangerous place to live is not in failure, it's in aimlessness. You're not failing just because things are hard. You're only failing when you stop seeing something worth working for. So keep the picture alive. Keep it updated. Let it grow with you. Let it stretch you. Let it remind you of what matters when distractions come. Use your vision to build momentum. When you wake up and don't feel motivated, go back to the image. When doubt creeps in, go back to the image. When you're tired and want to quit, go back to the image. That's how you stay grounded, not by waiting to feel good, but by returning to the life you're building in your mind and acting like it already belongs to you. And here's something to remember. You don't earn the life you want by chasing it randomly. You earn it by walking toward it with consistency, and consistency comes from clarity. If you don't know what you're building, you won't stay focused. But when your mind is full of the right picture, you don't waste your energy on things that don't matter. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand. You stop settling for things that don't feel right. You stop talking yourself out of opportunities that stretch you. You're not here to stay stuck. You're here to grow. You're here to reach. You're here to evolve. And that starts with vision. That starts with seeing something better and choosing to live like it's possible, not someday, today. Because the sooner you start acting like it's yours, the sooner your reality begins to shift. So pause, take some time and get quiet. Build the image again. Maybe you lost touch with it. Maybe you've been too busy surviving. That's okay. Today is a chance to reconnect, to rebuild, to see again. You've got more power than you think, and it all begins with how you see yourself and your future. So see it strong, see it clearly, and then begin the work, not with pressure, but with purpose. The life you want is waiting, but it starts with you seeing it first. See it before you earn it, and then earn it with everything you've got.
Chapter 9. Strengthen belief by acting on imagined success today. Belief doesn't grow by chance. It grows through movement. You don't wait for belief to show up before you act. You act, and that action builds belief. Most people think they need to feel ready before they begin. They think belief is something that just happens after enough thinking or hoping. But the truth is, belief is built by experience, and the most powerful experience you can give yourself is to act on the success you've already imagined. Not someday, today. You take what you've been picturing in your mind and bring it to life through your decisions, your effort, and your behavior right now. That's how belief gets stronger. Not by sitting and waiting, but by doing something that proves to yourself that your vision is real. When you imagine success, real success, the kind that means something to you, it lights a fire inside you. But if you keep it only in your mind, eventually that fire fades. Your brain needs proof. It needs a signal that says, this isn't just a dream, I'm doing something about it. That signal comes through action. Small, consistent, intentional steps taken today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. You build momentum by taking what's been floating in your thoughts and turning it into something you can feel, measure, and follow through on. Acting on imagined success is not pretending, it's preparation, it's alignment. It's you saying, if I believe this future is possible, I'm going to live like it. You walk into your day differently, you speak differently, you treat yourself with more respect. You stay focused longer, and the more you act this way, the more your mind starts believing that this new version of you is real. That's how self-respect is built, not just by thinking positively, but by showing up in a way that proves you're serious about your growth. Take one goal you've imagined, just one. Maybe it's building a stronger body, maybe it's launching a business, maybe it's leading your life with more confidence. Now ask yourself, how would I behave today if I already had this result? What would your energy look like? What choices would you make with your time? What habits would you drop immediately? What would you stop tolerating? You don't have to wait to make those changes. You can act from that image right now, and that shift in behavior is what starts to rewire your belief system. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're stepping into the version of yourself that you already see in your imagination. You're not skipping steps, you're aligning your present with your potential.
And the more often you do this, the more natural it becomes. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop overthinking everything. You stop looking for permission, because you've already decided that the vision in your mind deserves action. Most people struggle with belief because they don't trust themselves. They've made promises in the past and didn't follow through. They've pictured better things but didn't act, and over time that lack of follow-through weakens their belief. But the way to fix that isn't to keep thinking about the past. It's to build a new record, a new pattern. Every time you take action on your imagined success, even if it's small, you create evidence. You build trust with yourself again. You send a message to your brain that says, "I mean what I say." And that's when belief gets strong. Not when things are easy, but when you act even when you don't feel ready, even when there's no guarantee, even when the outcome is uncertain. Because that's when you're most alive. That's when you stop waiting to feel confident and start becoming confident. Confidence doesn't show up and then you act. You act and confidence follows. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. This approach works in any part of your life. If you've imagined yourself waking up early and leading your day, start tomorrow. Don't wait to feel motivated. Just do it once. Then do it again. If you've pictured yourself setting stronger boundaries, act on that today. Speak up. Say no when something doesn't feel right. If you've seen yourself finishing projects with focus, then commit to one task and complete it. The goal isn't to do everything perfectly. The goal is to prove to yourself that the version of you you've been imagining is possible. And the more you act on that version, the more belief you build. You start to carry yourself differently. You stop shrinking in conversations. You stop doubting every decision. You start thinking clearly, walking with purpose, and making choices that match the life you want. That's not something someone else gives you. That's something you give yourself through your choices. Sometimes you'll feel resistance. That's normal. It's your old identity trying to pull you back. It's the part of you that's used to playing small, used to doubting, used to hiding. But you don't have to listen to that voice. You just need to take the next step that matches your imagined success. The action itself silences the doubt. Because when you're in motion, you're not thinking about how hard it is. You're too busy building. Start talking to yourself like someone who already believes. Stop telling yourself how far you have to go. Start reminding yourself that you've already seen the outcome in your mind, and now you're acting on it. That's what champions do. That's what leaders do. They don't wait for belief to appear. They create it through action. This is how growth becomes real. Not through random effort, but through directed effort. You're not just busy, you're intentional. You wake up and move based on who you're becoming. And that mindset separates people who stay stuck from people who rise. The ones who rise aren't more talented, they're just more committed to living in line with what they've already imagined. And belief builds fast. When your actions reflect your vision, you feel more alive. You experience small wins that confirm your direction. You stop needing constant motivation because your results begin to speak for themselves. Even small results create momentum, and momentum is the fuel for belief. No one is coming to hand you belief. It's not something you wait for. It's something you earn. You earn it by showing up, by doing the work, by doing what you said you would do, even when it's inconvenient. You earn it by holding the picture of your success in your mind, and making decisions that reflect that picture, not just once, every day. Don't talk yourself out of your future because of where you're starting. Everyone starts somewhere. What matters is that you act, and not just any action, the right action, the kind that connects to your vision, the kind that honors the version of yourself that you've already imagined. When your actions match your dreams, belief follows. It has no choice because you're proving, moment by moment, that you're serious. So today, Ask yourself one question. If I truly believed in the life I've imagined, what would I do today? Then do it. Don't overthink it. Don't wait. Just act. That step will speak louder to your mind than hours of thinking ever could. That step is where belief begins, and each one after that strengthens it even more. You're not here to doubt. You're not here to delay. You're here to lead yourself forward with clarity, with action, and with trust in what you've already seen. So act on it now. Let your effort reflect your vision. Let your habits follow your dream. Let your actions teach your mind what belief really feels like, and you'll find that the person you've imagined isn't far away. You're already becoming them, one decision at a time.
Chapter 10. Let imagination rewrite the way you see everything. Your entire life experience is shaped by how you see it. Not by the facts, not by the circumstances, but by the way your mind interprets everything happening around you. Two people can go through the exact same event, but walk away with two completely different stories. One feels defeated, the other sees an opportunity. The difference is not in the event, it's in the lens they're using to view it. And the lens you use is created by your imagination. If you've never challenged the way you see your life, your struggles, your routine, or your potential, then you've probably been stuck in patterns that don't reflect your truth. But the moment you start using your imagination with intention, the world around you begins to change, not because it suddenly becomes easier, but because you start seeing it differently. When you let imagination rewrite how you see everything, you're not escaping reality, you're reprogramming your awareness. You're not denying what's difficult. You're choosing to view it through a different lens, one that gives you power, direction, and meaning. That shift doesn't come from a motivational speech or a lucky break. It comes from consistent practice. It comes from waking up each day and deciding to stop looking at your life through the same tired filters. Filters that were shaped by fear, disappointment, and limitation. Filters that don't serve your growth. Start asking yourself different questions. What if your obstacles were preparing you? What if your low points were invitations to rise higher? What if your routine was not boring, but the foundation for something meaningful? These aren't empty questions, they're tools to shift your perception. When you stop assuming the worst and start imagining something useful, everything begins to open up. And that openness is where growth lives. It doesn't mean you ignore problems. It means you train your mind to respond differently to them. When something uncomfortable shows up, instead of seeing it as a threat, imagine it as a test of your new mindset. Instead of seeing challenges as signs to quit, imagine them as opportunities to prove to yourself that you've grown. That doesn't mean the pain disappears. It means the pain stops defining you. You begin to understand that the way you label things shapes your experience of them. A delay is no longer a problem. It's a pause to regroup. A failure is no longer a defeat. It's a lesson in strength. A rejection is no longer personal. It's redirection. This isn't blind optimism. It's mental discipline. It's what happens when you use imagination, not just to dream but to reinterpret the meaning of everyday life. You can apply this in the smallest moments. When your day feels repetitive, imagine the long-term impact of your habits. When someone frustrates you, imagine the emotional control you're building by choosing peace. When you're tired, imagine the pride of staying consistent. That's how you start viewing your life through a new lens, not just when things go well, but especially when they don't. And the more you do this, the more your mindset evolves. You stop being the person who reacts to everything. You start becoming the person who responds with clarity. You stop chasing perfect conditions. You start creating meaning right where you are. That shift allows you to build momentum without needing everything to be ideal. It gives you emotional stability. It gives you focus. It helps you move forward when others are stuck in frustration. Letting imagination rewrite how you see everything
doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you shape your relationship with reality in a way that empowers you. You begin to look at your challenges and ask, how can this work for me? You look at your routine and ask, how can I elevate this? You look at your story and ask, how can I use this to grow? Those questions lead to better thoughts. Better thoughts lead to better choices. Better choices create a better life. Every time you choose to imagine a stronger meaning, you change how your brain processes your experience. Your mind becomes more flexible. You become more resourceful. You start solving problems instead of just reacting to them. You begin to see things you missed before, new paths, new solutions, new opportunities, because your mind is no longer stuck in survival mode. It's creating, it's designing, it's imagining. And this practice is not about making huge leaps. It's about making small adjustments every day. It's about paying attention to your inner dialogue. It's about noticing the stories you keep telling yourself and asking, is there a better one? Not a fake story, a stronger one that keeps you moving, one that helps you breathe, one that builds momentum. You might be used to seeing yourself through a lens that limits you. Maybe someone convinced you that you're not capable. Maybe life taught you to expect disappointment. But you don't have to carry that lens forever. You can build a new one. You can decide that from this moment forward, you're going to use your imagination to see a version of your life that matches your values, not your fears. You're going to build a lens that reflects your growth, your effort, your intention, and you're going to look at the world through that lens every single day. That's where real change starts. Not by changing the world, but by changing the way you see the world. You look at your time differently. You stop wasting it. You look at your energy differently. You protect it. You look at your goals differently. You pursue them with respect. Because now your imagination is not just showing you what's possible. It's shaping how you show up in every moment. It also helps you stay grounded in your journey. When progress feels slow, instead of thinking it's not working, you can imagine the bigger picture. You can see how today fits into something larger. You can see how effort adds up, how struggle builds character, how consistency builds results. That vision keeps you going. It keeps your mind anchored in purpose. Imagination also helps you see other people differently. Instead of assuming the worst in them, you start looking deeper. You start giving grace. You start seeing potential where you used to see frustration. That makes you a better communicator, a better friend, a better leader. You begin to show up with more compassion, because you've trained your mind to look beyond the surface. And don't think this process takes years to start working. You can feel the shift immediately. You can begin today, right now. You can choose to view your current situation through a different lens. You can ask better questions. You can picture stronger outcomes. You can focus on what's within your control. That's how you stop being a passenger in your own life. You start becoming the designer. None of this means you'll never struggle again. You will. But struggle won't have the final word. Your imagination will. Because now you've trained yourself to ask, how can I see this differently? And that one question changes everything. It puts you back in charge. It reminds you that your power doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from how you respond to them. And that response is shaped by the lens you choose. So choose wisely. Build your lens with care. Use your imagination not just to hope, but to shape. Shape your thoughts. Shape your meaning. Shape your direction. And keep doing it every day. When something feels hard, look again. When something feels boring, look deeper. When something feels unfair, look for what you can learn. This is the kind of mindset that doesn't just help you survive life. It helps you transform it. You were not meant to walk through life blind to your own power. You were meant to create, to lead, to grow, and all of that starts with how you see. So let imagination guide you. Let it become the filter through which you interpret everything, not with fantasy, but with focused intention, not with denial, but with determination. Let it become the tool you use to build a new experience, a new reality, and a new you. The world might not change overnight, but your perspective can, and that changes everything. Starting now.